Coffee with Namma Ashwath.
Good evening, Harshil. I welcome you to Coffee with Ashwath.
Thank you.
I welcome you. As people of state of Karnataka and people of our country would like to know more about you. So I'd like to know about your childhood within 60 seconds. You have seen many challenges. Knowing about your childhood within 60 seconds also is very interesting. I would like to know.
Let me try within 60 seconds. I had a very simple childhood. I grew up in Jaipur. It was a typical middle-class family. My dad was a banker and my mom was a beautician. So just grew up there in a typical middle-class household. Only learned one thing from dad, that you have to fight every day to earn your buck. That's the only thing that my dad taught me.
I think that's a very good message. That's a very good message. Life we need to take it.
Yes.
So the second most important, more people would like to know more about your personal things, like how during lockdown or some other circumstance, are you able to cook and clean, mop your place, anything like that? Have you done?
No, I have done everything. As I said, I come from a typical middle-class family. So a lot of times my mom would make me clean the house.
So used to it, no?
When the maid wouldn't come, it's the child that has to mop. Right? So,
Yes.
So, mopping and cleaning is of course very easy. Cooking is something I have not been very used to. Of course, as any average childhood, my mom used to spoil me, so I never had to cook. But during lockdown, I did try my hand at cooking. Sometimes making cakes, making pizza, fun things. I tried my hand at it.
Trying to impress anybody?
just trying to make use of time. I would be free on the weekend and didn't know what to do. So everyone was trying cooking. I thought I'll give it a shot. I was not very good at it, but I could. I was good at mixing stuff together and following recipes.
You made
so
your efforts of
I did try.
to do it. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else would like it or not. I liked it.
That's good, sir.
Yeah.
You are happy about what you have done.
Yeah. I loved making my own food.
Yes.
But mostly during lockdown, I don't do it anymore. I'm not a very good cook.
Most interesting thing, if not for your Razorpay, what you would have done?
That's an interesting question. It's hard to really say, but I'm an engineer by heart, I have always loved to code. And that's how Razorpay started at the end of the day. So if not for Razorpay, I would be coding somewhere. Maybe for another startup in India, maybe for an MNC, I don't know. But I would be coding. I don't think I would have given up that. Actually, Razorpay started that way as well. Now I don't get to code because of the scale we are at. But if I had to go back, I would go back to coding.
So nice to you. More would like to know about the institution in which you have studied, IIT Roorkee. And the most important part, what I heard, is the SDS lab, which you have established. How much it has impacted your life?
Oh, great to know, sir, that you have heard about it. No, IIT Roorkee shaped up a lot of my personality, and not the lectures part of it. The lectures were boring, but what happened was that I used to like coding, but I was in mechanical branch. So I wanted to spend my time coding. So I found like 5-7 people like me who loved to code but didn't get to code in their in the lectures. So we together formed what we call software development section, SDS labs together.
During your learning itself, you said?
Yeah, during the college. So we used to go for lectures and then come back by 4 or 5 p.m. and then we would have a lot of time in hostels. So we said, instead of wasting that, can we do something to code? So we brought like 5-6 of us came together, started this, and that was my, I would say, in some ways, earliest experience of building a startup of sort, because we were building a new group inside the college. So we had to hire for it, recruit people, get other students to join this. We had to raise funding, and in this we had to get money from the institute. And I can tell you that raising money from a government institution was much harder than raising money from VCs. So convincing them that this is the right thing for the institute and coding is the next big thing, I think was very hard. But that's where I met Shashank, my co-founder. That's where I met our first 10 employees.
I think it's a very inspirational to see as a student, you wanted to come out with a solution, establish something really good where the children can learn. I think that was very promising.
Yeah, no, I think, I feel like a lot of times people get just bogged down by the day-to-day, just the lecture part of IITs. But I think the biggest impact that, and it's not IIT, any college brings, is bringing students together. And how can you take advantage of that? Like, how can you build relationships? How can you work together?
No, normally what I hear, a idea leading to a product
Yes.
or a solution. But developing a lab itself for an institution, it's something, very interesting and good to hear all these things.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it still continues. Like, we set it up about 10 years back now.
Probably that can be an inspiration for many more people to do that,
hope.
enable and...
Yeah.
So, the most important part now, knowing more about your IIT journey, Roorkee, and now among the most interesting thing which people would like to know. So, I would like to put you into a spot now. The most important and very interesting thing, given a chance to select between your co-founder, Shashank, or your spouse, Rishika, which one you'll go for?
Oh, that is very, very hard.
There's no one interesting thing, both of them will be listening this.
That is what scares me.
They'll be watching or hearing this program.
Yeah, see, I got married 2 weeks back, so the one thing that everyone advised me is that if whatever comes, always, at least publicly, always support your wife. No matter what I do in that situation, I don't want to risk it, so I'll say Rishika. I'm sure Shashank will understand.
Yeah, definitely. That relationship, personally what people would have associated for a long time, it will become more, they'll be part of your life and part of...
Yeah, and that's why
thought and entire life.
That's why I'm very less worried about saying Rishika, because I know Shashank will understand the why I said this.
I think that's what the co-founders are meant for. Like, they can understand better. Working together, that builds the relationship in much more better way.
Yeah.
No,
I have a very trusted relationship, and that's the reason like Razorpay is where it is.
I think that's a good understanding and a good message.
Yeah.
Every society, its future can be decided only by the culture of a person or in a society. Probably in this direction, there's a wonderful saying, the culture can eat strategy for breakfast. That's a saying. Probably in this direction, what is your strategy for your company? What kind of culture do you have in your company? I would like to know more about this. And entire people, all the people are much interested to understand this.
Also, you very rightly put it, and I keep telling it to my team, but great coming from your own mouth, that culture is, of course, the most important thing when you're building a startup, because you can solve for scale. Performances can get fixed over time. People can have bad performances, can have good days, bad days. But if there's cultural mismatch, then those things can never be fixed. And one of the things that we have focused a lot on Razorpay from day one is culture. So one of the important aspects, for example, of Razorpay's culture is transparency. What we feel is that when we want to innovate, innovation cannot happen. First of all, innovation can happen across the board from anyone. So you cannot say that a salesperson will only innovate in sales, a product person will only innovate in product. A salesperson could innovate in product. But that cannot happen till you can see everything that's happening in the org. So we have a very strong focus on transparency, that even if you're a sales guy, you can see what is happening on product side, what new products Razorpay is focusing on, what new we are building. If you're a product guy, you can go and talk to clients and see what my salespeople are doing. And I think that has worked really well for us, because that creates a very strong trust in the company that nothing is happening behind closed doors, as we say. And one example of that is that we don't have any cabins in the office. More than that, we don't have any curtains in the office. So all meeting rooms in Razorpay are transparent. There's not even a frosting in any meeting room. So you can walk into a floor and look around, and you can see what all meetings are happening across.
Something really for me unimaginable.
Yes. So all meetings are happening behind a transparent wall. Everyone can see what meetings are happening inside. So that...
We keep talking about this transparency. Actually, you're making it happen.
Yes.
That's a beauty. Probably that's a very good message.
Yeah.
Keeping everything transparent, being very open, that's really good. And seeing the cross-border, the sales guy looking into innovation, the innovation person getting into the sales, looking with each other, how we function, what kind of solutions. Even the salesman will have a better idea, because he'll be able to connect with the customers and he can get a lot of input. Probably those kind of thoughts, enabling the different person to look at.
It has a lot of advantages. It's not easy, but it has a lot of advantages.
Advantage, yes. the real culture, what you have seen any challenges with regard to the culture in our society, our people, when it comes to the work culture? What kind of challenges have you seen?
I think Indians by nature, we work hard. So I think that's one of the best aspect of our culture, that we are very hardworking. And that's the reason we are shining and dominating, not just in India, but across the world. I think the only aspect of like work culture in India that I would want to see is that I think, and this is something I try to push a lot at Razorpay, is I think like commitment, sticking to time commitment, for example, is something that I think we have as a society are very loose about, and this is something that we have tried to imbibe a lot in people within Razorpay, that if you say you're going to start this meeting by 8 a.m., start it by 8 a.m. Right? Like, or if you're going to start it by 3 p.m., whatever the time is, start with that time. I think that is, and that I personally try to imbibe that a lot, where like if I'm going to get coming to a meeting, because a lot of times what happens is that the CEO or the founders themselves are delayed to most meetings, and that percolates down, and that percolates that culture that we say Indian standard time. So
yes.
I try to percolate that a lot, that I always be on time. A lot of meetings I am the first person to be on the call, and then others join in, and then they say, hey, you should be on time.
That's a good message. That's a good message. Being very punctual is very important. Harshil, seeing the progress of your company, it's very impressive. Really very impressive. I think, what else you have got game changer ideas? What is the further future plan you have got for your company, for Razorpay?
Yeah, I think that this is the decade for India. And I think it's fairly clear that across the world, given the environment that is in the world right now, India is one shining bright spot, and I think there's going to be and especially when it comes to FinTech, like that's an area where India has taken leadership position. We are doing better than the rest of the world, and that creates a lot of opportunity for companies like ours to go out and create things, not just solving problems for India, but creating that an example for the rest of the developing world to follow on how do you drive financial inclusion for the deepest and hardest part of India. Because if you can do it in India, you can do it in anywhere else in the world. So my focus right now is like threefold. One is, my primary focus is to help businesses become more efficient, especially small businesses. I believe small businesses are the backbone of the economy, and our goal as a company is, if we can save the time of a small business owner by 10, 15, 20%, that is the time that goes back in creating more output for the country, creating more jobs, creating a better India. So I think our biggest focus is on helping these small business owners save time and allowing them to do more with the limited amount of time they have. So we are focusing a lot on creating new credit products for them, new banking products for them, working with our partners to allowing their payment systems to become more efficient. So they don't have to worry about collecting money, getting payment on time, paying salary, paying vendors, right? And save that time and use it in running their core business. So if you are running, let's say, a clothing shop, like how can you spend more time on the clothing shop versus worrying about, have I paid my salary on time? Have I paid my employees on time? Have I paid my taxes on time? How can Razorpay take that burden? Or if you need credit to expand your shop or store, how can we enable that with banks to get you that credit or that loan within the next 30 days or 25 days, so that you can expand your business and grow and focus on your core job. So that is our biggest challenge. And the second aspect that we are focusing on now is, we have done a lot in India, we've scaled a lot today. We've powered more than $100 billion of payment volume for India annually. So what we're trying to now do is, how can we replicate that across the world? So we're launching in Malaysia. We actually launched in Malaysia last year. We're now launching in other markets in Southeast Asia. But these countries are very similar to India, maybe 5-7 years behind. So if we can take the learnings and products that we have built in India in these markets, I think we can really show this, the rest of the emerging market, how things have scaled in India.
Okay, definitely very impressive to hear this, entire financial management for the smaller companies, making them efficient is most important, because financially, once a financial discipline is there in an organization, probably that can assure each and every stakeholder, probably that is going to really transform our entire society.
Yes.
Probably we can look for a great future, so we can cope up and see the greater heights.
Yes, definitely,
I'm
sir.
really impressed with your.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Harshil, now Incubators, and enablement has become a very important part. Being a part of the Y Combinator, from there to now establishing Razorpay, Rise, how's that journey? How do you find yourself with regard to this journey? And
Yeah. I think Y Combinator really shaped the way and direction for Razorpay. I think a lot of what we built on Razorpay in terms of culture, in terms of product, in terms of setting up the org, all of those learnings came from Y Combinator because, of course, they have built a lot of startups and supported a lot of startups. And as we scaled and reached a certain scale, we realized that one of the biggest advantages that Y Combinator brought in was building that community where you could interact with other startups, learn, get mentorship, get advice, and of course funding. So we tried to replicate that by launching Razorpay Rise, which is basically bringing similar scale startups together. I think such programs can add a lot of value in terms of supporting young startups. Even to add to that, I think even in Karnataka you have this Elevate grant, which a lot of startups get to be a part of, and it is I think one of the first in India in the way they scaled up. I think such programs are very much needed. I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to know more about these programs and need to join some of these programs because that's the only way that you can scale your startup from very early days when you have nobody to seek help with, nobody to get advice from. If you can join programs like that, then that creates a really strong footing for you to scale up to bigger and bigger heights. So I think we need more and more such programs, and I think even I'm glad to see that even the government in Karnataka is doing that. Sir, actually, I would like to ask you that while we are doing a lot of these things from Y Combinator to Rise, but we have rarely seen government do such programs, right? Like something like Elevate, and I think a lot of FinTech founders in particular would like to know, like, how does this program work, right? And how can startups make the best of it?
yeah, definitely, in the beginning of their journey for a startup from idea to POC, probably they need a lot of encouragement, hand-holding, mentoring. Many times they don't know where they are. So some kind of, not only getting mentoring and a facility, a common facility to take their idea forward, and funding also is very important. Probably we come from various backgrounds where the finance also plays a very important role. Probably in this direction, Elevate is very comprehensive, dealing with 360 degree, and it's going very successfully. I'm really very proud of it, and Elevate has grown over the time. And whoever has been part of the Elevate, they've been very well recognized by the entire ecosystem. Pitching for the grant, pitching for the funding, or the support from the financial institution. All the way they have been, getting very good recognition, and it's doing well. I think we need to take it much more bigger way. The industry also should come in a big way to take it forward.
I'm sure, sir. I'm sure it will grow to even bigger heights over time. But great to see that. Great to see the push.
So working with Y Combinator and other institution, how do you see that difference between a Y Combinator and our institution and our functioning?
I think Y Combinator, they set up this idea of accelerator essentially. Right? Like they were one of the, in some ways, the first accelerator that actually scaled, and they essentially taught the world how startup accelerators are supposed to operate. So I believe they added a lot of value to our journey and to a lot of other companies that they've worked with. But I think the basic idea, and even Y Combinator says that I don't think it's ever about Y Combinator versus this accelerator versus that. I think there are enough startups coming up in this country, and the world needs more startups. And I think, and every startup needs this, as you said, sir, advice, support, mentorship, and all of those things. So the more such accelerators come in, the better it is for the economy, for the ecosystem, because that will allow more startups to get that support, get that help, and that essentially increases the chances of a startup being successful. So if we can increase that, the number of startups from, let's say, 100 to 500 with this, or 1,000 with this, the more accelerators come in and the more support that we are able to give back to this ecosystem, the better it is. And I can speak for most accelerators that I think I've hardly ever seen an accelerator getting worried that, hey, why are more people launching more accelerators? I think net startups need a lot of hand-holding and support. It's a hard problem, and the more support we can give to them, the better it is.
Harshil, I would like to, being a part of the city, we would like to know more about your Bangalore days. So, being in Bangalore days, how long you were here? How do you find our place, our culture, our people? And what is interesting here, would like to know from your side?
No, I think Bangalore has been amazing, amazing place for us. We started place up in Jaipur, and within a year of operation, we felt that we need to move to a city closer to our customers because most of our customers were in Bangalore. So we chose Bangalore, and I think I really am glad that we took that call. And I think the best part about Bangalore, I mean, of course, the weather is great, but I think the people. I think the people have been very accepting and very open to folks like us coming up and setting up companies here. I think we got a lot of support from day one when we were very small, getting support from finding a house to finding an office to everything. I think we got a lot of local support. I think that has been a driver for our success. I think that's the best part about Bangalore, and that's the reason a lot of founders like me choose Bangalore as their home ground because A, it has the right ecosystem around it. I think the policies and structures that the government has set has created a very strong ecosystem inside the city that people want to come in. And B, it has a very vibrant culture where everyone feels accepted. You don't feel that you're that hey, where are you going, and like why don't you build it in your hometown? I feel I've been here for almost 5 to 6 years now, but I feel that I'm part of the culture now, and I'm trying to learn more about the culture, but I already feel a part of it.
Have you gone around anywhere in Bangalore? You find any interesting place for you?
I've been around Bangalore a lot. I've traveled. I love going around to places. I've traveled to various hill stations around. I've been Coorg and multiple other places, Madikeri and of course Mysore. And I think the historical aspect of Karnataka is what really what I love a lot, because like if you go to Mysore, you see Mysore Palace, you see Bangalore Palace, you see so many different cultural pieces in and around Bangalore that make you appreciate the culture even more. So I've loved that a lot.
Yeah. And one more very interesting thing. Do you know Canada? I'd like to, because Karnataka and Bangalore is a place where we have a lot of diversity. And to bring much more closer, I would like to know. Kannada barutta?
Kannada gottilla, but kalte kalitini.
So nice to know that, you are keen to learn Kannada. Bala ಸಂತೋಷ. ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕಲಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. In future, whenever we meet, so we can talk in Kannada only.
I'm sure. I'm very hopeful of that.
So we'll be a proud Kannadiga for us.
Yes, definitely want to get there.
Yeah, achieve. Now, turning the tables, if you become IT minister, probably last for one day. So, what will be your plans?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think first of all I'll host a coffee with Harshil and invite you. But I think there is a lot of already great work happening. But one thing that I do feel is that I think Karnataka has a lot of some of the world-class IT companies here, and there's no doubt that we are the Silicon Valley state. This is a Silicon Valley city. I would want to see if we can create some sort of a program or policy through which these IT companies within the state can solve problems can be more involved in solving problems for the state. And by problems, I mean deeper problems for the state. Like I'm sure, and I'm sure you would know this better, but I'm sure the state has its own problems that need to be solved, whether it comes to especially ground problems. When we have some of these world-class IT companies, why can't we leverage them to solve some of those problems? So that's one thing that I could think of.
Yeah, it's excellent. See, ultimately, whatever we invent or innovate, ultimately we want that benefit to be passed on to the society.
Yes,
probably that's a fantastic suggestion, idea, or commitment, what you have put across. I really appreciate, sir. That should be the way forward we need to work.
Yeah.
I think one or the other day you should become one.
No, sir. I don't, as you said, I can probably last a day.
Definitely, this culture has to happen. Probably a day, getting a now it's a discussion. Probably this should happen. Turning the tables. Either way, we should get into your shoes. You should get into our shoes for a day and experience that. That's a good way of taking forward. So we'll become more serious about the responsibilities or the other side of the fence, what's happening, and how
sure
best we can impact.
I'm sure you can do a good job here, but I'm not sure I can do a good job.
I would like to thank you for being my guest for the Coffee with Ashwath.
No, thanks a lot, sir. That was a
And I would like to give this moment of, I would like to hand over this moment
Yes.
to you, sir.
thanks a lot, sir. I'm really honored to be part of this.
Coffee with Nama Ashwat.